Welcome back here to our Gym Challenge, Premier Challenge at Psycho Turtle in Pico Rivera, California. Dennis Geisler, Boy Coco. Round number 2 of Swiss. We have two players at 0-1 right now, Tyler Deacy and Angelica Weiss. Tyler with this team used to be all physical, and then a bunch of Pokemon change. I didn't even get to read it before. Gouging Fire, King Gambit, Ogerpon, Wellspring, Flutter Mane, Rillaboom, and Landorus Incarnate. Angelica has Raging Bolt, Flutter Mane, Ogerpon, Wellspring, Entei, Amoonguss, and Iron Jugulus. Let's see what each of these players decides to go with. Tyler has still with that Gouging Fire. It's gonna be Iron Jugulus, Ogerpon on Angelica's side, King Gambit, Rillaboom for Tyler. Grassy Surge will get up. Iron Jugulus does have Terra Ghost to avoid that fake out and get up Tailwind regardless. It is booster speed. Very fast Jugulus. Ogerpon also has the Spiky Shield. Wants to block that damage. On Tyler's side, this King Gambit doesn't have swords. It doesn't have sword stance. Sorry, they wrote the they wrote the team sheet in cursive. I can't read that. No Terrastal. Iron Jugulus flinches. Kowtow Cleave going into the Spiky Shielded Ogerpon. Does a little bit of damage back to King Gambit, which will be healed off by the grassy terrain. Either way, pretty neutral first turn. Gets off a turn of grassy terrain, but all things considered, just a tiny bit of chip. Ogerpon's going to swap out now. Might be in a bit of danger from that Wood Hammer. Amoonguss will come in. Grassy Glide into the Amoonguss will do about as much. Wow, that was a critical hit too, and it'll do about as much damage back to Rillaboom as it did to Amoonguss. Tailwind gets up from Iron Jugulus. And the Kowtow Cleave also going to do a bit of damage back to the King Gambit, although it did much more damage to the Amoonguss than that Grassy Glide did. And now finally, Angelica has gotten the temple set, so to speak. Jugulus does have Tailwind, Air Slash, Snarl, and Taunt. We saw it was boosted speed earlier. Solid special attack on this thing. Rillaboom's going to swap out, reset the terrain, reset the fake out. Gouging Fire is the switch in. Same as always, Heat Crash, Breaking Swipe, Howl, Burning Bulwark. Booster speed as well. Air Slash into the Gouging Fire. Does a little chunk. Low kick into the Iron Jugulus. Okay damage there. And the Spore. Not affecting King Gambit. That is Safety Goggles King Gambit, of all things. Nice little move to play around that Amoonguss, and that means even a Rage Powder won't be able to stop it from going for another low kick on the Iron Jugulus, although it might not finish it off. Although a Breaking Swipe may finish it off despite that. That comes alongside it. Could also see a Howl from the Gouging Fire to boost that King Gambit's attack. Plenty of options here for Tyler. For Angelica, it's going to be difficult. Snarl isn't that useful. Air Slash isn't doing much damage. Taunt is an option, but frankly isn't going to be that useful. Terrastal for the Amoonguss. Terra Water. Does mean it's now weak to that Rillaboom whenever that switches back in. Iron Jugulus, go for the Air Slash onto the King Gambit. Howl. +1 attack for each of those two Pokemon. And hold for flinch. No flinch. Kowtow Cleave finishes off the Amoonguss with a critical hit. Don't think it was needed. Rocky Helmet does a bit of damage back, but there goes that Amoonguss. Not sure what the Terra Water was going for, but certainly not getting that done, whatever it was. And Tyler now in a very solid spot here in game number 1. Both these players at 0-1 on the day so far, lost their round 1. Still plenty of time left. There's 17 players here today. 8 will make top cut. Entei on the field now. Inner Focus, Choice Band Terra Normal with Extreme Speed, Sacred Fire, Stomping Tantrum, and Iron Head. Not going to be able to Terrastallize, obviously. Gambit protects. Air Slash from Gouging Fire. Or excuse me, Air Slash onto Gouging Fire. Sacred Fire going to be protected by the King Gambit. And the Gouging Fire Breaking Swipe. Pretty good damage. We'll drop the Entei's attack. A little bit of that HP back, but going to hurt a little bit, not being able to do as much damage, although still focusing into that King Gambit's an option. Tailwind is gone now. Tailwind should get back up again. Jugulus shouldn't have any problems getting it once more here. See the Terrastal here finally from Tyler. Could go for the King Gambit. Indeed it will. Takes away the weakness to fire. Do that Entei. Sacred Fire Burn would still be pretty impactful. Excuse me, that's Terra Fairy. Terra Fire Burn would, or excuse me, a Sacred Fire Burn would still be pretty bad. Does good damage there. The Tailwind gets up. Entei, Sacred Fire, does it burn? No, it does not, and Howl gets up. Now it'll be pretty difficult to break that King Gambit. +2 attack now. Sucker Punch will most certainly finish off the Entei. We'll see the Sucker Punch into the Iron Jugulus instead. Both players moving pretty quickly right now. Sacred Fire into the Gouging Fire. Not going to burn because it can't. Heat Crash. Not going to finish off the Entei, but doing some good damage there. Both players playing around a potential protect there from King Gambit, and nicely played to get around that there. Ogerpon back on the field. See Gouging Fire go for the Burning Bulwark. Try to go for a cheeky burn against that Ogerpon. Be a double protect, in fact, from Tyler. Stalling out the turns of Tailwind. Ogerpon with the Follow Me, so only one Pokemon will get a move this turn. It is the Entei, going for the Sacred Fire because it's locked into it. I believe it's locked into that Sacred Fire for the rest of this battle, with the two Pokemon dropping so far, the Amoonguss and the Iron Jugulus. And now, Tyler with a solid chance to do some real damage here. King Gambit goes for the Sucker Punch, not allowed to. Here's the Follow Me. Sacred Fire lands onto the King Gambit, finishes it off there. Finally breaks through that King Gambit, but the damage might already have been done. The Entei on very low HP. This Ogerpon about to get hit pretty hard by a Heat Crash. Nearly a knockout there, not gonna get there. Tailwind does peter out now, finally. And either one of these Pokemon should be able to finish things off. It's going to be the Landorus coming in. I'd have preferred to see the Rillaboom, just to hide a little bit of information. But in any case, I think a Breaking Swipe will be able to finish things. Spiky Shield. Going to stall out an additional turn here. Breaking Swipe takes damage from the Spiky Shield, but will still land onto the Entei, and finishes it off. And the Ogerpon, the only one remaining, has to also break through a substitute Landorus. Earth Power, Sludge Bomb, Substitute Protect. Not too surprising of a set. And Angelica will cancel the battle. Tyler with the 1-0 lead. And just very nice start there with the King Gambit Incineroar. Or excuse me, the King Gambit Rillaboom. Excuse me. Very useful, all things considered. All stages of the battle. game number 2. We'll see if these players decide to make any changes. Can't say it was a terrible lead from Angelica, but it certainly didn't work out all that well, and Gouging Fire got a lot done pretty quickly when it was able to come in. Angelica taking time here. If it's able to get a hit off. May also mean we don't see a Jugulus at all this game. Fluttermane, swap out, quick. See the Ogerpon on the other side coming in now. Ogerpon Wellspring is a nice counter to Ogerpon Wellspring, depending on their moves. I believe they're both Horn Leech. Again, Tyler wrote in cursive, so I can't read it. We're gonna see the Terra Normal Entei finally. See the Burning Bulwark on the other side, so if this is an Extreme Speed aimed at the Gouging Fire, this will actually burn the Entei. Either way, whatever it decides to do with this Extreme Speed, it'll be taking something, but a burn would be much worse. It does go for the Ogerpon, so that is a much better outcome, just taking a little bit of damage instead of getting burned, which would seriously impact what the Entei is able to do long term. If you're Angelica at this point, I think you feel good about Tyler not going for a double protect here and potentially aiming into that Gouging Fire, especially since King Gambit switches in here. With the Steel type will resist is the Gouging Fire. Decent damage there, not over half. Breaking Swipe comes out and that'll reduce the damage even more. Put a clit on Ogerpon, not that much damage regardless. What the Ogerpon goes for, it's gotta be an attack. It's gonna be Horn Leech into King Gambit. Wasn't Ogerpon before, now it's King Gambit. Not gonna do much damage. It was Horn Leech. I was able to read the cursive correctly. Now, it's getting tough for Angelica to play around this. Extreme Speed won't do too much damage, and the Entei will have to switch out. The Ogerpon not doing much damage either. The Amoonguss coming in, it'll keep its typing this time. The Howl is able to boost up that King Gambit. +1 attack now. Ivy Cudgel comes out, -1. Do a little bit under half of the remaining HP for Gouging Fire. The Kowtow Cleave doing good damage to the Amoonguss. That'll two-shot. Yeah, and this is getting into a tough spot for Angelica because your Pokemon... I think you have to hope for a roll on Ogerpon getting the knockout on the Gouging Fire here. Amoonguss definitely going to drop a Heat Crash. And Gouging Fire hurt by Rocky Helmet, so that should finish off the Gouging Fire with the Ivy Cudgel here. Indeed. There's the Ivy Cudgel, there's the knockout, onto the Gouging Fire. It crits also. Not really necessary, but certainly fun. This Kowtow Cleave will do a lot of damage to that Ogre Pawn. Not going to knock it out. This King Gambit at +1 attack is certainly going to be dangerous to play around. And that Ogre Pawn at -1 attack, on the other hand, is going to be very difficult to work with. Got Entei and Fluttermane in the back now. We've seen all 4 Pokemon from Angelica. It will be the Entei coming back out. Is it neutral attack now? No more Gouging Fire to drop it. That King Gambit sure will wall it, as long as it can. The Ogre Pawn used Spiky Shield here. Double Protect, in fact. And at least scout out what the Entei is going for. Everyone waits with bated breath. And it's Sacred Fire. Decent choice here. Super effective against King Gambit, neutral against Ogre Pawn. Both do not want to be burned. Still will be difficult here. Tyler has the Terastal available. Ogre Pawn on low HP for Angelica. The Terastal now, it will be the Terra Water Ogre Pawn. That means it'll take way less damage against those Sacred Fires. The burn would still be meaningful, but not terrible. Body Aspect boosts that special defense, so when the Fluttermane comes back in, it'll take some real damage. And the Follow Me will draw in that Sacred Fire damage. Do the Horn Leech. Very good damage there. And that should be a lot of healing onto Angelica's Ogre Pawn. See what the Sacred Fire does here. This should... Ooh, not enough damage, but the burn will do it. And it gets the burn. So this Ogre Pawn will drop at the end of this turn. Already Follow Me, so that'll be it for that. Kowtow Cleave going to finish off the Ogre Pawn, but now we are in a 2-on-2 scenario. Ogre Pawn will take that last burn damage, drop, and so we will have Fluttermane and Entei against King Gambit and Landorus as these final 2 Pokemon for each of these players. Tyler already up 1-0 here. Round 2, both these players started at 0-1, so going down to 0-2 would be not great. Going up to 1-1 would be nice to try to get into that top 8 top cut. Sucker Punch into the Fluttermane. That's a one-shot. Critical hit. Not sure if that was necessary, but a critical hit really knocked that thing down. Both of these Pokemon are choiced. Earth Power from Landorus onto the Entei. Going to knock out as well. Lots of damage there from Tyler's last 2 Pokemon. And Tyler Deacy with a 2-0 victory in round number 2. Very nicely played, all things considered, from Tyler's team. We've seen their team, like, really update over time. Like, Tyler was running the that weird 6 physical attackers team a while back, and we've kind of slowly seen that team develop into what it is now with the Landorus, with the Fluttermane. Didn't see the Fluttermane at all this series, but regardless, we are going to step aside real quick, and when we come back, round number 3 of Gym Challenge, Premier Challenge, don't go anywhere.